Hello everyone, you're listening to the Earful Tower. My name's Oliver G, and before anything else, can I get some trumpet? Yes, that's right. I just wanted to hereby announce that the Kickstarter for my new memoir was successful. Very successful, in fact, so much so that I've extended the initial print run and I'm coming to the USA on tour in May and June 2020. More information on that it's everywhere, on the site, social media. Surely you guys can find it if you want to find it, but I'll see you in May. So thank you very much to everybody who made it possible. I think it was 460 people bought a copy. That means the world to me, but that is not what we're here to talk about today. We're here to talk about the second arrondissement, and today's guest is it's Amanda from Boneshaker Doughnuts. She's a friend of the show. She's been on a bunch of times, and that's where her donut shop is, Rue d'Aboukir, Boneshaker Doughnuts, and she's sort of talking about the community and what life is like in that arrondissement. But in terms of summarizing this district, I asked the sponsor of this season, Bertrand from My Private Paris, I said, what is the second arrondissement? And here's how he summed it up in 30 seconds.
Well, the second arrondissement is the smallest one in Paris. So you would think it's the one where there's the least things to see. But it's actually, to me, it's the one that sums up the most the spirit of Paris. It's where you find money. It's where you find amazing food. And it's where you find kinky sex stories.
Well, I wonder what he's talking about there. In fact, you'll find out all about that at the end of the episode. He's going to be in there talking about all those three things. So after Amanda has spoken of her side of the district, you'll hear more from Bertrand directly after. All you Patreon supporters of the Eiffel Tower, you will have already met this guy because we did a little bonus episode for the Patreon supporters, patreon.com/the Eiffel Tower. But yeah, that's how the episode's going to finish for the rest of this season, is with Bertrand or maybe one of his colleagues talking about the district and things to find. So get used to that. This one's a little bit longer. He's new to the show. I figured I'd give everyone a chance to get to know him. But yeah, expect that for the next 18 episodes. But before we get started, I just thought I'd summarize real quick what I'm doing this season. Season 7 of the Eiffel Tower is every arrondissement, every district of Paris in order, with a kind of specialist from that very district. Number 1 was last week with the Louvre and the Mona Lisa. Here we've got the second. Next week we're going to the Picasso Museum in the third, and then it's one-on-one with the mayor of the 4th arrondissement the week after. I think you get the gist. That's where we're going from here until episode 20 this season, and hope you enjoy the ride. Let's get into it. Okay, Amanda from Boneshaker Doughnuts starts with a cough.
Yep, I know. Hello.
How are you doing?
Great.
Are you a little sick?
I didn't think I was.
No.
Maybe a little bit. It's winter.
Yeah.
It's coming on, obviously.
You're no stranger to the Eiffel Tower.
No, I'm not.
You're a repeat. You're a regular.
Yeah, I'm a regular.
You're a friend of the show.
I'm honored.
Well, thank you. You've so for people who are new around here, maybe we did a podcast before in your. Do you call it shop or cafe?
I say shop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we did one in there, and that was pretty fun.
It was awesome.
People were walking in.
Yeah, I mean, it's tiny, so we were kind of getting jostled a bit.
Yeah.
All part of the experience,
I
think.
liked it.
Right?
That was one of the first ones that I did out of the studio.
Yeah.
And then I was like, yeah, I'm into this. That was fun.
Yes.
And then we've done a couple of walk shows around the second arrondissement.
We have, in my hood.
And that is why, besides the fact that I love your shop, that's one of the reasons I wanted you in as my specialist for the second. But we'll get into some tips and stuff after.
Yep.
So if there's anyone out there who doesn't give a hoot about you or...
Right, which is, very likely.
You guys should skip forward about 15 minutes or so.
We'll give you a little point or say skip forwards.
We'll send you the little show notes.
There you go. Yeah.
But I think most people would care. You got a great store, and we've talked about it on previous episodes. But you also got a great shop that's, and something I want to start on, really, it seems to me that you guys really value the community.
Very much so.
And I love that. I think that's really cool. And that sort of ties into the second arrondissement idea.
Yeah.
Because it's a community too.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So let's start by talking about this wild and wonderful Halloween thing that you do.
Yeah. So Halloween is awesome. It's my favorite holiday, which my husband who runs the shop with me, jokes about being very American of me because I think we like to, we go big for the holidays.
Right.
Okay. Halloween is my favorite. So when we were first opening, it's not done so much here in France. It's starting a little bit, but I think it really is kind of more of an American sort of thing to go really big.
And your husband's not American, is he?
He's Irish.
Right.
Yeah. So, well, he likes to remind me that they're the original source of Halloween.
Is that true?
It is true.
But he doesn't care.
No, he's like, but then we made it ridiculous, of course, the Americans, in his opinion, with all the costumes and candy and,
and all those donuts.
And all the donuts. So we have 3 boys, and going back a few years, one of the things that, because they had grown up with Halloween being such a big thing, and, I really missed Halloween too. And the cool thing about having your own shop is you can be like, well, I'll just make Halloween then.
Yeah.
So we started 4 years ago, was our first one, and we go around. So 4 years ago, I think we had 10, not even, I think maybe it was like 6 local other shops who were participating. So I went around to them and I kind of explained the concept of Halloween.
'Cause 4 years ago, they didn't really care about Halloween in Paris.
No, like really. And for like the French shops around us, I literally was like, so it's trick-or-treating, which means that kids are going to come to your shop. They're going to be in a costume. They're going to say trick or treat.
Yeah.
And you give them a piece of candy and then they go on their merry way.
It's funny. It's because it's like they would have been like, well, that doesn't make any sense.
I know. They literally were like, okay. Yeah. And they're like, and what do we do? And I said, you literally just give them, I was like, I'll give you candy and you just like put it in their basket and, happy days. So like, great. So we did it the first year and I think we had maybe, I don't know, like 100 people, probably not even, who showed up.
That's still a pretty good turnout.
I know. I was going to say maybe not, maybe not.
We'll say one person.
We'll say one. Yeah. Because I don't think it was 100 people actually. I think it felt like 100 people because we had never done anything like that before.
Yeah, and the shop is quite small.
Is quite small. So we were kind of like, oh God, we're inundated. And then it's grown every year and we've, gotten bigger every year and we do costumes. So usually the shop now, everybody at our shop we'll pick a theme. So this year we were the Addams Family.
Right.
And so we had Cousin It, which was my favorite for sure.
Right.
And, we decked the shop out. And now there's almost 30 shops. So pretty much in the whole quartier. So there's 30 shops in the second arrondissement that participate in it, which is fabulous. So it's all Rue d'Aboukir where we are. It goes all the way down Montorgueil. There's a shop in Léal.
And do you... Because I unfortunately missed it last year.
I know, yeah.
Guilty. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, that's okay. We forgive you.
But I loved it. I was following along on Instagram. Shout out to your Instagram account. What do we search for?
It's at Boneshaker Paris.
That easy, at Boneshaker Paris. And there are a lot of people that came last year.
Absolutely. I think we had, it was close, I was about to say 1 million. It was 1 million people.
I don't know if we can trust you with the figures anymore, Amanda.
It was I'd say around 1,000 people this year. Yeah.
That is insane.
Insane. Right. It like shut down the whole area basically.
Wow.
And
it's like a yellow vest movement.
Well, exactly. And we had people who were just out doing their like Saturday shopping because we always do it on a Saturday, kind of being like, what in the world is happening right now?
Yeah. The French rioters have become children.
Exactly.
Dressed as Addams Family.
Exactly.
That's so fun.
Yeah.
But hang on. So when you say you get 30 shops involved, do you give out a map or something?
So what we do is every year we actually feature a new artist. So it started the first year. It was Louis, my husband, because he's actually a very talented artist, and he was doing it. And then we've kind of passed the baton on. So every year we ask one of our artist friends or a local, like Paris-based artist, to make the poster and the map for us.
Cool.
So participants get a map that is obviously like a map of the second, and it shows each shop that's participating, and they can then go to as many or as few as they want to get their candy.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And then at the risk of talking too much about Halloween when
in
people
January,
are listening, we'll spread this out. How, like, in a more general sense, has that improved? It must have improved your relationship with everybody else in your district.
I think it's cool. It's a really good atmosphere. And so I think everybody now really gets into the spirit of things. And it is a cool day for the neighborhood. I mean, who doesn't like seeing happy kids running around super high on sugar,
I can think
I know.
of some people.
Okay, maybe some people, but we'll just forget about that.
But were there some French shops who were like, no, I'm not interested in that?
Some, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's cool too. I get it. Also, we do it on a Saturday. So I put it late in the afternoon so that it wouldn't interrupt people's regular Saturday business that much. I mean, I'm sure it does a little bit. But no, we definitely get some that are like, listen, I think it's a cool idea, but it's not for us. And that's fine. It's not obligatory. I'm not going to come like,
Sure.
Smashing down your door being like, you will
Dressed with like blood
as
on
the
your
Grim
face.
Reaper.
This idea of a community, though, is quite interesting. I used to live in the second, not far from Boneshaker.
Yeah.
This is when I just come to Paris.
Yeah.
And I think you either need to be extremely confident or speak good French to get the most out of a community feeling.
Yeah.
And I felt like I didn't really get it when I lived there.
Right.
Also, Montego, the street that you mentioned, which is lovely,
Yes.
is also very touristy, and it's
It is now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my question is, considering the second is the smallest arrondissement,
Yeah.
smallest district in Paris, does that mean that there's a community spirit in general outside of Halloween, or is it too small, too touristy?
Well, it's hard to say. So certainly because then we have our own little microcosm on like the Rue d'Aboukir, like Rue Petit Carreau, kind of that crossroads where we are. And there's absolutely a community spirit there because it's all still, for the most part, small independently owned businesses. And we all know each other and we all help each other out. And it is really cool. And you really do get the sense that you're like in a little village. And even things like that was from the beginning. That's from when we opened the shop almost 4 years ago. The neighbors who we didn't know at that time, the shop owners, were literally helping like direct traffic so that we could move the fridge. That's a true story. We could move the fridge in. People were blocking off the end of the road. The guys from the bar across the road were like helping lift stuff in. So literally from day one.
That's great.
Yes, you really, and as soon as that was happening, we were like, we have really like hit the jackpot here because from the moment we arrived, everybody is, like helping each other out all the time. It is really cool. It definitely is a really good community spirit.
And you've hit the jackpot as well, because I'm not sure. I used to tell people when I lived around the corner that that if Paris was like a dartboard,
Yeah.
that's the bullseye.
I know. Tell me about it.
It really is.
I know.
Like if you got a map, if you went on Google Maps, everyone at home, and just kept scrolling in to aiming right at the middle, you probably land on Boneshaker.
Yeah, exactly. Ta-da!
If not Boneshaker,
Yeah.
the mild apartment. Like it's crazy how central it is.
And that was completely by accident on our part. We weren't specifically looking to get there. And I think actually we assumed that because it's so in the center, it would just be like, 10 million euro to ever, like we just thought it would be wildly out of our budget to ever even dream of having a shop in that part of town. But it wasn't, I think also we got this like weird, our shop is like a shoebox.
Haunted.
So yeah, exactly. So tying into the Halloween theme. No, but it's so small that I think also it was, nobody really knew what to do with it.
Yeah.
So it was a number of things that kind of came together for
I remember
us.
you talked about that I think on the last episode.
Yeah.
You talked about, used to have something to do with, because Sentier, the area.
Yes.
It's like...
It's a wholesale, traditionally. Now, again, even in the 4 years we've been there, the area has changed so radically. And now there's like really cool restaurants and bookstores and stuff and coffee shops and everything that's opening all the time. But when we got there, it was still, it's traditionally a wholesale fabric part of town.
Right.
So our shop, I mean, I don't know how much wholesale they'd be doing in like 8 square meters, but I guess
what did they used to do? They used to make like, was it fabric or something?
Yeah, I don't know exactly what they were doing, but it was, there was mirrors on like every surface. So it was either like a 70s porno shop or something to do with clothing. So we're going to go with clothing. Yeah.
Hey, that's so cool. That is a really interesting area. It's so small and kind of like...
It's really lovely. It's kind of like the Paris dream, you have your little tiny...
And and we're going to get into this in a second, the different, the things to find when you're down there. Because I think a lot of tourists, when they come to Paris, wouldn't have the second arrondissement high on their list.
Yeah. You kind of go through it type of thing.
Exactly. On the way to the first.
Yeah.
Where there's everything for a tourist.
Absolutely.
Whereas I think people who live here would do the opposite.
Yep. I would agree. Yeah,
Go
absolutely.
through the first and to the second.
Yeah,
where you
totally.
have a drink with friends or something.
That's
like that.
so true. Yeah.
But people are finding you, and it brings a great smile to my face to hear that some listeners from this show, or several, or what?
Several.
Yeah.
I know. I get it quite frequently, which
Yeah.
is so awesome, and I love it. So, like, do come in and let me know.
What do they say? Is there anything funny? Is it they're like
No. No, everybody's been like really normal so far. Like
Yeah.
they will just be like, "Oh, we heard you on Oliver's podcast."
there's
blah, blah, blah.
there's a challenge if you're like a
Yeah.
really weird person listening. Be the first
Yes,
one.
to freak me out. Say the weirdest thing you can.
Do they recognize you by the voice? Because you got a few, and everyone in there is
They
very
must,
friendly.
I
but-
guess. Yeah. Or maybe it's just that I'm the lady that comes downstairs like covered in flour, like kind of being like, "Oh, what's going on?"
So if people that you're not discouraging people from saying hello,
no, absolutely not. Come in and say hi.
keep the community going. Guys.
Yeah.
But let's get to the idea of a few tips. I think.
Yeah.
When we did a video, the first time you and I did a live video,
Yep.
we walked down Rue Montague.
Yep.
And I know
Christmas time.
at the time, and this was that last Christmas?
It was either, I think so. Last
Yeah.
Christmas.
If there's a chance it was 2 Christmases
If there is
ago.
a chance it was 2
Time
Christmas.
is
Yeah,
flying for
exactly.
both of us.
Yeah.
But we walked down that street with all the Christmas lights, and that was fun.
Yeah. It
but
is beautiful at Christmas time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I remember talking to you beforehand, and I was saying, this is my favorite street.
Yeah.
And you were like, well, I'm not sure if it's my favorite street.
Yeah.
And since then, it's not my favorite either.
Oh. I ruined it for
But
you.
but you said, I think Rue des Abbesses in Montmartre is my favorite. You know that one?
Yeah, because you've recently moved to the
Yeah,
18th,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
I used to live right at the bottom of Rue d'Abbesse. And
Really?
and I think it has a lot of, although now we're not talking about the second, but I think it has a lot of the spirit of the old Montorgueil, I feel like.
Interesting.
That's what people kind of think of when, because Montorgueil is still very beautiful, but it has, as you said, it has become a little touristy. You can still find, there is still good stuff there for sure. And I think if you're in town, it's absolutely worth a walk to go up and down.
100%. Yeah.
But I think there are other streets like Rue d'Abbesse, which
Yeah.
for me, I always loved it
Yeah.
when we lived
Me
there,
too.
just strolling around.
Good
and
Christmas lights, too.
Good Christmas lights. It's really beautiful. And you again still have all the little restaurants that have been there forever. And, your lovely boulangerie and cheese shops.
Sure.
And you have, I loved it.
But if you're listening to this now, when this episode comes out, everyone, you will have to wait 16 weeks to hear more about Montmartre because we're sticking in the second.
Yes, exactly. So back to the second.
And Montague is lovely, but you said right before we hit record just now, you said Rue de Nil.
Is my favorite.
Yes.
Yeah. So Rue du Nil.
It's a weird name, by the way.
Yeah.
Nil.
I think it's everybody. I think it's the Nile.
Ah.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
So here's the embarrassing thing. And anyways, people who speak French better than me or know more French vocabulary are going to be laughing at me. But so there's a bookshop at the end of it that opened up maybe like 3 years ago.
When you say the end, do you mean the far
On
end
my
from you?
side.
Okay,
No, like
your
closer
end.
to
Okay,
me. Yeah. And it was called Le Petit Égypte. And I was like, what a weird name. And then I literally days ago figured out that Rue du Nil, as far as I know, now there are going to be people listening there being like, what an idiot woman. No, it's not. But I think the reason they called their bookshop the Little Egypt is because
Sure.
they're on the end of Rue du Nil. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, it's all
I think
making
that makes sense. I don't think
Basically, if this is wrong, edit this out. Okay.
No, if someone out there finds a problem, send all emails to Amanda@boneshaker.com. I think it is the Nile. I'm with you.
Okay.
You know what they should do is
What?
they should open a shop at the start of that street.
Yeah.
Selling different sauces.
Yeah.
And call it the Source of the Nile.
Wow, that'd be great.
You weren't impressed by that one. Okay, so it's named
yeah,
after
so
the
Rue
Nile,
du Nil.
although it's not anywhere, like it's a tiny, tiny street.
I know, like who knows what's going on there? Anyways, it's a tiny, so the thing is compared to Montorgueil, which actually like is like this promenade.
Which should be the Nile.
Yeah, exactly. Which would more, exactly.
yeah.
It's like this little kind of blip of a street, basically, across from where my shop is. However, on this one street, it is literally chock-a-block with everything amazing. So you have a bunch of Terroir d'Avenir shops, and Terroir d'Avenir are, they specialize in like mostly locally, ethically sourced, like delicious food. So you have a greengrocer's there that is just phenomenal. You have a butcher there. Like basically, you know that you'll never go wrong if you buy any of your produce from Terroir d'Avenir. It's always going to be fresh, delicious, highest quality possible.
And you get some vegetables
We always do, yeah. So
Yeah.
when we're doing our, now at the moment in winter, we're not really doing much with fruit or anything. So it's all kind of, we're doing crème de marron and, all those types of things. But in the spring and summer, we get our rhubarb from there, we get our figs from there, we get our cherries from there.
'Cause I remember you mentioned, because for the people who support the Eiffel Tower on Patreon, you will hopefully have seen the video that Amanda and I did fairly recently walking down this very street.
Exactly.
And you were pointing out, I remember the rhubarb.
Yes, because I'm obsessed with
you're
rhubarb. I
obsessed
love
with
it.
rhubarb.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
Okay, and there's cafes and stuff
Yeah,
as well?
so there's so you have Terroir d'Avenir, then they also have a really amazing boulangerie at the end of the road, which is phenomenal, and they use all like ancient grains at this boulangerie, so that's quite interesting and cool. Then you have all the Frenchy restaurants, so you have the Frenchy wine bar, you have the Frenchy to go, and then his like fancy restaurant is there as well.
Is this guy, by the way, I have to interrupt you, is this guy, Mr.
Marchand?
Do you know this guy?
Yeah.
I'm fascinated by him because it feels to me like, what's it called? Gangs of New York?
Right, that he's like, he kind of, I think before he started there, and again, I'm not an expert, but when he opened Frenchies, I think, there was like nothing on that street.
Just to clarify, I'm not calling him a gangster.
Yeah,
I mean what I mean
so
is...
you can send all of your emails, Gregory Marchand, to...
what I think more is like, when I think of that movie... He knows the whole neighborhood and everyone. Like he kind of made a lot of things happen.
Yeah,
I feel like this guy did the same thing.
Oh, I think he definitely like paved the way for the change of the neighborhood. 100%.
Right. Cool.
Yeah, I know. What a badass, right? Yeah. Then there's also, which has just opened, and I love. There's a specialty chocolate shop that's opened there as well.
This is all in like 100 meters.
Yeah, like
That's
seriously.
insane.
Yeah, wait.
Not even.
It's like the teeniest little street, and they do the most amazing. It's like a chocolate production, so they produce the chocolate there, and it's amazing. So definitely, I do Rue du Nil, and the great thing about it is it'll take you, like 5 minutes.
But it sounds like you could spend a day there.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think some of those restaurants we mentioned, you need reservations.
For sure. Like the bar à vin, like the wine bar, I think really the only one that you definitely need is for the like formal dining. And I feel like that's booked up quite a lot.
I've heard that. I've had some tourists have messaged me about that and said they couldn't get in. But if you come out the end, which I assume would be the end where your donut shop is.
Yeah.
There's also a tourist site of sorts on the wall.
Oh yes,
that you love.
I do love it. Well, it's just so. And I was about to say it's such an oasis, and the thing is, that's because that's actually its name. It's called like the Oasis of Aboukir, and it is a real talking point because. So almost flanking our shop is on the side of one building is this, I don't know, what should we call him? Like a plant artist? What does one, yes? Is he a Patrick Blanc? But I don't know what his official title, because he makes these like vertical gardens essentially, but they're all beautifully landscaped. So he's not just like throwing, grass on a wall.
Throwing grass at a wall and hoping it sticks.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's like
beautifully curated.
Like a 7-story.
Exactly. And exactly. So it's the whole side of a building, and it is, all joking aside, it is the type of thing that makes you like stop in your tracks. If you're walking through the neighborhood and you kind of see it peeking out, you are sort of rightfully so being like, wow, that looks awesome. So definitely, you can't miss it if you're in the area.
If you can have a donut underneath it.
Exactly. The best thing to do is go get your donut.
Speaking, I've got so many things I want to ask you, and I don't want time to run out before I get to them.
Yeah.
Firstly, as we were talking, I remembered when I lived on Rue Greneta, which is around the corner from you. They would put letters in our letterboxes saying, please sign this and protest against the McDonald's opening on Montague.
Yep.
I've seen that's open.
Yep.
Was there
Well, it's a weird one, which is a shame. And I think they got in because technically the top of Montorgueil isn't actually Montorgueil.
No,
it's still
you're right.
Petit Carreau.
That's right.
Because I was wondering about it because apparently they had actually, I guess, like legislated that no chains were allowed to go on Montorgueil, I believe.
Yeah.
But I'm not 100% about that because who knows?
That sounds pretty legit, actually.
Right?
Yeah, because there's a Starbucks that's also above.
Exactly. Well, it flanks that they share a wall with the McDonald's. Starbucks and McDonald's sharing a wall.
And not a vegetal wall
not
either.
the vegetal
You know
wall.
what I thought at the time when people were putting these notes in? Like, I love Montague. And I think it's great. And I think that side is almost more the big...
It's the boulevard.
Street,
Wait,
right?
yeah.
I was like, it's not going to ruin Montague.
I get it, but it's also, I mean, I don't know, how political can one get?
No, I don't think this is the topic
it's
for
not
today.
The topic.
But I thought it was interesting to see how much the locals were protesting against.
Well, exactly, which I applaud them for, actually. Yeah.
It seems quite French to me.
But I mean, it's up now and it's like super busy, so who knows? Like,
I wonder if it took away custom from the shops on Montorgueil.
I don't think, who knows? I wouldn't say so because, I mean, it's quite different to anything else that you find on Montorgueil, really. I don't know.
Anyway, that's not what we're going to talk about. We're not sponsored by McDonald's.
No, exactly.
We can say what we like about.
I guess so. I'm like, what can I say?
One thing we can say, I've got two other things at the top of my mind. One is, speaking of your donuts, I haven't looked, but by my
I was just going to say, are you going to...
Well, should I open them now?
Yeah.
What did you bring?
Well, I cycled with them over, like, hanging from my handlebars in the bag. So
the beauty of radio is I can say they look beautiful.
Yeah, you can be like, I was like hitting potholes flying over here.
Wow, they look beautiful. No, honestly.
Do they honestly?
They're 100%.
They're okay?
Because
as it was like slamming against the side of my bike, I was like...
But do you remember what's in it? Because you're over the other side of the table.
Yes.
Maybe you can explain, because this is amazing.
So I gave you an OG, of course, darling.
You know I love that.
Yes.
Every time, so for you guys at home, one thing I really like about friends of the show like you, Amanda, is we follow each other on Instagram.
Right.
And what am I going to say when you post a picture of donuts? But whenever you post the one that's the OG,
Yeah.
I always ask if it's named after me.
And I say,
Oliver
of course it is, darling. Of course it is.
A little back and forth for people. But so you brought one of my donuts in
I
here.
did, of course.
Oliver G.
And then, well, we have our Christmas flavors. So
Because
our
spoiler alert, we're recording this before Christmas, even
Right.
though you're listening in January. Everybody.
Yeah, it's the magic of...
It's the other magic.
Right,
These
exactly.
donuts look terrible. They all.
I know.
No, I'm just kidding.
I'm like, be
I'll
quiet.
share a picture. They look lovely.
So I gave you, there's a vanilla bean one. Then we have two of my favorites, okay? So I gave you a mince pie donut.
I see that one.
And then the other one is a mulled wine donut.
Wow,
That's
is that the
my
purple,
fave.
The purpley looking one.
The purpley looking one. So that I would say when you dive in, have that one first. It's filled with a mulled wine pastry cream and then topped with a mulled wine glaze and dried cranberries.
Amazing.
I'm obsessed with mulled wine. That's
Yeah.
like I start drinking it in like November.
You have a lot of obsessions. You got to be careful.
I'm enthusiastic. Okay.
Yeah. Rhubarb, mulled wine.
I mean, they're all food related, as you can maybe.
Never. I was going to say never try heroin because if you.
I know. I'll be like, I found this new thing. I'm obsessed with it.
They look amazing. I'm really looking forward to them. But that first episode that Amanda and I did, we got in depth on some of the flavors, in fact, and on the video.
Yep.
I remember I went along there. So there's more for you guys to get into that. But back to the second, because
that's what we're here for.
That's what we're here for. I want to wind up on another thing that is kind of intriguing about the second. Hundreds of years ago in Paris, they used to have these covered passageways.
Yes.
And I'm quite into the whole history of the city.
Yeah.
As I understand, about 150 years ago, they made them. And when I say covered passage, it's like shops inside. It's like inside shops.
Yeah, it's like the first shopping malls, kind of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they made them, as I understand, so Parisians' feet wouldn't get dirty as they went shopping because it was all mud and
of
horses.
Course, and
stuff.
gross.
Yeah, right? So there were 150 of these. Now there's more like 10.
Yeah.
And most of them are in the second.
Yeah, which I actually did not know that most of them were in the second. But now that you say it, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I would say some of them are very, very beautiful and worth a look. Some of them are kind of now have just sort of are just passages.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Like they
100%.
haven't really been kept up to their formal glory. But there are a few.
The Vivienne
yes,
is the famous one.
Which, and rightfully so. Like the thing is, they are quite. If when they're done up, they are really lovely.
Yeah, I think if you're in the second arrondissement and you don't walk down Galerie Vivienne, you've missed out.
Yeah,
we can say that.
We can say that. Yeah, we can definitely say that.
Get in the middle, take a picture. There's all tiled flooring, beautiful little shop. You don't have to go into the shops. You can just walk down.
Exactly, just poke your head in.
Yeah, poke your head in, say hi. Tell them you found them from the Eiffel Tower podcast. Confuse them.
There you go.
Confuse them all, everyone. But the other one that you said you like is the Passage du Grand Cerf.
Yes, which is closer to where the shop is. It's off of Montorgueil. And again, it's smaller, but I just really like it. It's full of like antique shops and I love a good antique market.
That one's quite like curious. Like there's oddities. There's
I know, which is why I like it
and-
because it's so weird.
Yeah.
They have like weird like street signs and then also like teapots.
Yeah,
and
I like that one as well.
Yeah, right? It's good.
And it's like three stories high with a glass roof.
Exactly.
So it's light as well.
Yeah, so that's what, for me, that would be one of the pretty ones, because you go in and you are very much like, oh, when you kind of walk in.
It's a really beautiful one. And you'd find weird stuff. You get a good, it might not be cheap, but you'd get a good
It's not
souvenir.
outrageous, though. Like, I've definitely got stuff at that. I mean, again, there's really expensive stuff, but you can find a weird teapot for, you know.
If that's what you need.
If that's what you're into.
And that same passage is... this is like, I'm very fortunate. When I moved to Paris, I used to walk through that passage to get to the metro station in the morning.
Yeah.
And that features in the book I've written.
Yes. Which you're very excited about.
I'm also very excited. Is there, is the customers of yours going to be able to find it on the shelf, or am I pushing here?
Well, I mean, no. Yes, we will definitely be stocking it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, of course we will. No, I can't wait. And I'm thrilled, and can't wait to read it. Awesome.
You're a main character in it, you know?
Yeah, right. I mean, it's pretty much about you, Amanda.
But, okay, so there's another reason, you guys, that you should go into Boneshaker Doughnuts. It's by far my favorite donut shop in the world.
Aww.
And Amanda's a lovely person. But thank you for coming on the Eiffel Tower again.
Thank you for having me. Always a pleasure.
Thank you. What I can finish on, although I will keep talking after you've walked out of this room.
Right.
But what are we looking forward to from you guys? Besides Halloween next year.
I know. Well, I mean, for us, we're just going to be, I think, doing what we always do. So making donuts, making coffee, selling Oliver's book.
Oh, here we go. But you know what I will say is that, as Amanda mentioned, there's always different flavors in there.
Yeah.
So if you visited once.
Like rhubarb.
Oh my God.
Rhubarb's coming, guys.
We better wind this up before we get into a whole rhubarb thing. But... Boneshaker Doughnuts, Rue d'Abouquet. All the information will be in the show notes. Thank you for coming in and sharing your arrondissement with us.
Thanks again.
So that was Amanda from Boneshaker Doughnuts. And now taking us a little deeper inside the second arrondissement is Bertrand.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm well.
Thanks.
You're a new voice on the Eiffel Tower, but people are going to get used to you, I think.
I hope.
Is that a French accent?
It is a French accent.
And I did know that, but you said you're from Bayonne?
I'm from Bayonne, exactly.
Bayonne. Give me a little idea of where that is.
So you go as south as you can, you go as west as you can, and here you get to Bayonne. Okay. Bayonne is it's not Bayonne, New Jersey. Okay, it's Bayonne, France.
Did you say Bayonne, New Jersey?
Yeah, there's a Bayonne, New Jersey. I don't know how to pronounce it.
There's
New Jersey.
There's Paris's all over America as well.
Yeah, but there's one Bayonne, and it's in New Jersey.
Well, there you go. That's pretty cool. Okay, so from Bayonne, New Jersey to the second arrondissement of Paris.
Yes.
You said money. What did you say? Money, sex, and
it's sex, blood, and money.
Sex, blood, and money. Can you give me a little insight into all these things?
Sure. Of course.
And if there is indeed a treat in that little paper bag you've got, maybe we can end on that.
Yes, there is. It's here.
All right.
Okay, so I was telling you, the second arrondissement is the smallest arrondissement of Paris. It's made of tiny one-way streets, most of our pedestrian streets, etc. It's an amazing place to just walk around because everything's close one to another. There's no big thing to see, but there are amazing stories, and they're all connected to sex, blood, and money. Which one should I start with?
I think start with blood.
Okay, blood. So two amazing stories, but maybe the first one is connected to the longest war we've ever had. Have you heard about the 100 Years' War?
Yes.
Okay.
I feel like it also wasn't 100 years. Is that true?
It was actually longer, but there was plenty of breaks.
Yeah, I feel like that's the kind of trivia question that you get in a pub quiz. Yeah. How long was the 100-year war?
Well, actually, there are 200 years war between France and England, but we'll talk about it later.
Goodness.
But anyway, let's say that we love hating one another with France and England.
Yeah.
And so in the second arrondissement, there's an amazing place you should visit. It's called La Tour Jean Sans Peur, the Tower of John the Fearless.
Let's say it one more time in French. La Tour
Jean Sans Peur.
Jean Sans Peur, okay.
It's an amazing structure. It's 21 meter high. Okay, it still exists today. It's from the early 1400s, and the guy built that right after having stabbed the king's brother in a small street called Arbalétrier Street. Don't pronounce that one; it's too hard. Which is in Le Marais.
If I had to get there in a cab, I would just say the street next to it instead of tell the truth.
It's called the Crossbow Street. That's
what's it called? The Crossbow Street.
The Crossbow Street.
And what's the word for it?
Arbalétrier.
Oh my god!
It's actually the crossbow Fire, the crossbow holder.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
Very medieval, indeed. Okay, so basically at that time the king is crazy. We call him Charles VI the Crazy, Charles VI le Folle. His brother, Louis of Orléans, is running the country instead of the rightful king because he's crazy. He's really crazy, okay? And the Duke of Burgundy doesn't like that at all because it's not good for his business and because he wants to be the one ruling the country instead. So he has the king's brother, who's actually ruling France, killed in the street of Paris.
Right.
Okay? And instead of hiding or denying it, he brags about it. He said he was right to do so because that guy was a tyrant. And killing a tyrant is your duty. And in the middle of Paris, he built that amazing tower that was at least twice as big as any other building in the city.
And that's still there?
With his bedroom at the very top of it.
What?
Overwatching the city, telling everyone, come and get me.
Wow.
Okay? And that tower still exists. The rest of his residence is gone, but you still have La Tour Jean Sans Peur, and you should see that. Okay?
I think it's, I know where it is. It isn't, there's a bit of the Philippe Auguste wall, one of the towers
exactly.
in, so I've been there for that wall, not for that tower that you mentioned, John the Fearless.
Did you went into the staircase and you saw all the sculptured vault?
Of your tower?
Yes.
No, I didn't, because I got let in to see my tower.
Okay.
Which is a previous obsession, but now I'm going to go and see.
So you should see that. Okay.
Yes.
And why is that so important? It's because that killing started a civil war within the 100 Years' War. There was a civil war in France known as les Bourguignons contre les Armagnacs.
Right.
And it's that civil war that restarted the 100 Years' War.
Yeah, okay. And this all ties back to the second arrondissement.
This all ties back because it's right here that it happens, on the edges of Paris.
Interesting. Okay. Was that the sex?
No.
What was that then?
Well, sex comes last.
That was okay.
Second district is made, I told you, of plenty of tiny, small streets, right? Where one can be quite discreet. And it's there, in this area, that in the late 1800s, early 1900s, the high society of Europe, the princes, the diplomats, the bankers, etc., were going to the finest bordellos.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and the most famous client of all is someone who became quite famous because he became king of England, and the name Edward VII.
Mm-hmm.
But he's been a Prince of Wales forever. Okay, I'm talking about different times, of course. But his mother would never die, and he had just money and time to waste, and basically no responsibilities. And Albert was his Christian name. We called him Dirty Bertie.
What, in Paris you called him Dirty Bertie? In
Dirty
English?
Bertie. Yes.
Really?
Yeah, it was chic to speak English.
Was it? Not anymore, or what?
Well, now it's useful.
Yeah, okay.
And so Dirty Bertie was spending tons of time at the opera. He was spending time also at the Moulin Rouge. He made it quite famous, etc. But he was spending a lot of time into a bordello on the street Chabanais, which was called Le Chabanais, and that was the most amazing place if you like this kind of businesses. Each room had a theme. One room was about India, one was about Egypt, one was about medieval stuff.
Yeah.
And he had his own room where his coat of arms was painted on the ceiling. Okay, so he could lay in bed and just remember who he was. And there was this huge bathtub, okay, with topless Greek goddesses at both ends, and he would take bath of champagne.
Oh my God. Does the bath still exist somewhere?
The bath still exists.
Yeah.
He also had a chair made so he would comfortably have company of at least two Parisian ladies. And that chair is I think it's in Czech Republic at the moment.
Dirty Bertie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So blood, sex, and money.
Yeah.
Money because this is the arrondissement of banks. So the second arrondissement is where you have La Bourse. La Bourse is the stock exchange, or the former stock exchange place of Paris. Now it's in the business district, or even, I don't think it exists anymore as a building. It's all in the cloud, right?
Right.
But La Bourse in English, you could call it the purse. Okay, it's a B.
Right.
Transform it into a P.
Gotcha.
And you got La Bourse. And La Bourse is the heart of the financiers district. Okay, it's where all the bankers started to be established, where all the big finance companies started to be established. And I brought you something today in connection to La Bourse.
A treat? A treat from the second arrondissement?
A little treat.
Open it. Yeah, wrapped in paper.
I unwrap it. Okay, and tell me what you see.
I see a Madeleine.
Oh, gosh.
That's a Madeleine. It looks like a big Madeleine.
Oliver. That's not at all a madeleine. It's a financier. Or
it looks a bit like a madeleine, though.
Why? Because it's yellow?
Yeah.
Well, financier. How do you say it? Finances?
A financer?
A financer? Yeah, someone who works
I think we use the same word I think we call him a financier.
A financier.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
I haven't met many of them.
Financier is one of the most... It's one of the trendiest cake you can have in Paris.
Hang on. When you're saying this, in all honesty, croissant and pain au chocolat is what everyone eats, right? Does anyone actually eat this?
Wait. Croissant chocolat are not cakes.
Okay, this is different.
Okay.
It's been said on the episode before, I'm not an expert on pastry, but I feared that everyone...
You have pastry and you have what we call viennoiserie, which is croissant and
I've made this mistake before for regular listeners.
Yes.
Okay, so this is a cake.
So this is not a cake, this is the cake. This is the cake of the second district. Because in the 1890s, a pastry chef called Lanné had the idea to shape an old cake, an old almond-based cake, into a gold bar.
Because it looks like a gold bar.
It does look like a gold bar.
And the size of it for people at home, it looks like the size of a really fat Mars bar. I mean, like in the shape of... I mean, that's the shape of the size of it.
Yeah,
right?
That's a bar.
Imagine the fattest Mars bar you've ever seen, shaped, like molded into a golden bar. That's how you could...
Exactly.
Right.
And it looks golden.
Oh, sure.
Okay. And so he called it a financier. Even though it was an old cake, it was known as a visitandine. It was a cake that was very, very popular in the 1500s. Okay. But now everybody in Paris is crazy about financier. Forget about cupcakes. Financier are the best.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You want to try?
Absolutely. Is there... It smells like almond.
It is. It is based on... it's almond, butter, sugar.
Oh, it tastes like a madeleine. It tastes good. It tastes nice.
Ah la la. But it goes very well with tea and all. You can really, it's the future.
So this is delicious, and thank you for bringing it.
You're welcome.
I'll share a picture on social media so people know. Well, I've already started eating it, but I'll share a picture later of another one.
Of what remains.
But you're not planning to bring a cake from that's impossible, from every arrondissement?
I am going to.
What, actually, there's viennoiserie and pâtisserie from every arrondissement?
Yes.
That's amazing. Well, that's something to look forward to. But we'll wind it up there, I think, for today. I'll see you next week for the third arrondissement.
I'll be there.
Great. Thank you.